Welcome to the Me Plus Ultra Network. I'm your host, Scott Joseph. And today we have an incredibly special episode for you. We're going to dive into the topic of unlocking leadership excellence through building powerful connections, gaining fresh insights, engaging in collaborative problem solving, and accessing actionable strategies for personal and business growth. Joining me today, good friend, known him for a very long time, the Solutionist
Wait,
himself.
You stuttered on that. You stuttered on that. Good
I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to word this. I feel like I cut on your age too much, so I need to go. I'm gonna try and go in a different direction the best I can. I think I have something though for you a little bit later. But the Solutionist coming from New Jersey, Sandy Cerami. Sandy, well regarded, is a professional speaker, nationally acclaimed expert on sales and business development. He's got over 3 decades, which is a subtle way for me to passively aggressively talk about his age. The over 3 decades of experience in the business world, and he's the creator of the 7 pillars of killer business development. It's a formula to help all you business leaders and business owners sustain success, and it'll elevate your traditional selling into a comprehensive strategy of exponential business development. Before we dive into this conversation, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to Me Plus Ultra at meplusultra.com and go to our YouTube channel, the Me Plus Ultra Network. And that way, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. That way you can stay updated with all our latest content. Sandy and I have worked together for a while. We co-founded Business Bourbon and Cigars Leadership Retreat, not the podcast, but the leadership retreat. And I couldn't think of a better place other than the network here than to talk about the topic we're going to talk about today. So Sandy, and he's a frequent guest on the Me Plus Ultra Network as well when we bring on other guests. So Sandy, welcome to Me Plus Ultra Network. Welcome back.
Good to see you, my man. Good to see you.
You know, we talked about all your experience in 3 decades, and I told you I'm not going to cut on your age. I don't know if anybody follows Sandy, on our social channels or anything like that, but you'll notice he's married to a very beautiful woman, very nice, as beautiful inside as she is outside, in Mary
Amen to
Cerami.
that. Yep.
And that's how you know he's a good salesman. All right. That's how you know he's got outstanding selling skills.
Yeah. There's no question. No question about that. Very persuasive, we say, Scott.
That's what I'm going to say. I mean, you had to be very persuasive to be able to accomplish that part of your life. So outstanding. Although with that hair, anybody in the business world that's been in it for 3 decades,
give you the 3/4 shot.
That can maintain that level of hair quality gets my vote.
Oh, my man. As my late father and great father used to say all the time, I don't care what color it turns as long as I still have it. Right. You and I both know I could not pull off the bald look. Just wouldn't suit me.
And so, hey, everybody, we're streaming live to YouTube, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn, obviously. So if you got comments, all right, we've already got a comment in. I'm going to put it up there from Squire. Shoot it out there. We'll put it on the screen. We're the only 2 people in the room. That's the only time this statement's true. So,
That's right.
So, Squire is a good friend. He's a Me Plus Ultra member, and he'll be joining us this September at the Business Bourbon and Cigars event. In fact, his first event was the second one we ever did in Louisville, and he's made almost every single one since. But always brings great insights. I love people that give as much as they hope to receive there. It makes the mastermind sessions that much better.
Well, I've missed him. We haven't had him, and so I've missed him. We still keep in touch. As a matter of fact, I shot him a text back yesterday. He had shot me a text on Friday, and we've been like hair on fire at SCA for the last 6 to 8 weeks. And I forgot to reach back out to him because we've been struggling to keep pace. But I miss him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in Louisville for sure.
Yep, very good friend. Squire's a great example, and we'll get into this in a little bit. the power of building your network and your relationships.
Hmm.
Um, he's a guy that you could call, text, and he's going to respond instantly, answer that call you
Agreed.
back if he's busy, and he'll do whatever it takes to help you out. So those are the type of members we want. Those are the type of people participating in the event. It's people like him make this event that much better. Um, so I love when you tell the story about how we started this thing, Business Bourbon and Cigars. And once again, the leadership retreats. I don't want people confused because I got the sign in the background, uh, but the leadership retreats in terms of how we started this stuff, your origin story to this. I love when you tell it. I try to emulate it. I try to articulate it the way you do, but I don't do it justice the way you do it. So I want you to go through that real quick, and then let's dive into, uh, you know, because it really is the root is to what we're going to talk about today in terms of unlocking leadership, right? So, but how
Hmm.
did it all start? You go. I'll let you do this.
Well, I mean, look, it resonates because it's true and people can relate to it. And if we got into the hot tub time machine and went back to April of 2020 when the scamdemic was announced and the perpetration began. I told you I wouldn't get political, but I didn't
I
say I
always
wouldn't
I always I
call it out
always
for what it was.
after before every show I have to say, Sandy, please don't get political. All right.
That was not a political statement. That was just a factual statement. There's a difference. Politics and facts never get in the way of each other. But that's for sure. Okay. But we sat there in April of 2024, and I picked up the phone because you and I had been talking almost every day at that point. Like, what? This is nuts. What's going on? How are businesses
Well,
going to
and
respond?
when
And
we were sharing a lot of memes, I mean, we were
we,
let's
yeah, no question about it.
yeah,
And but still the world was in a real malaise. And listen, we were both falling for the scam at that point, the same as everybody else was. What the hell did we know, right?
yeah,
And the average business owner was sitting there going, "What are we going to do?" Because if you remember, it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve, became 4 weeks to flatten the curve, which was 8 weeks to flatten. And we said, we're getting phone calls, the two of us. And what we had done in our business was we had suspended invoicing retroactively back to March 1st because we knew once it was announced that revenue was going to completely cease for most of our clients. And so we wanted to be a good business partner. And so we retroactively took invoicing back. We actually wrote 2 checks back to clients that had already paid for the month of March. And we said, look, we're still here. All right, we're going to take phone calls. We're going to still work with you. We're all going to have to get through this. We'll figure it out. The problem was you were getting questions and calls from your clients as well. And you and I were saying, we get all these phone calls, all these clients with questions. What are we supposed to do? We got to figure a few solutions out. And I said to you, why don't we grab a bourbon and a cigar, and do a Zoom and let's just brainstorm, which we did. We got together. I think it was at 5:30 on a Friday, the first time we did it, just the two of us.
yeah.
I will say that our pronunciation skills were far better for the first 75 to 90 minutes than they were for the last hour, which is to
We
say that
had
we were
we had some of that.
we had a few bourbons, but what we did realize was that after that, almost 3 hours on the Zoom, that we had come up with some really are creative ideas in terms of what we could be doing to help clients and help our own businesses. And I said, let's just do it again. And we did it again the following week. And then we did it again the following week. And I said, we really need to add Jameel to this equation, like, put his brain on this as well. And we were starting to help our clients develop solutions mutually as a result of these calls. And then we started to invite our clients and our colleagues onto the what we called at the time the fourth box. There were 3 boxes on the Zoom. I said we're missing the fourth box. We started to call it the fourth box, and I think if I'm not mistaken, how many people we end up running through? It was like over 20 people
Right
over
around
the
there.
summer.
And you got to remember, and you touched on it a little bit there. During this time period, at this point, we're getting a little stir crazy. People are
Yeah,
this is when Zoom meetings not Zoom business meetings, but gatherings were happening because people were craving
Absolutely.
some type of social interaction.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. And you mentioned Mary before. She was getting tired of looking at me, and I never grow tired of looking at her, as you know. And so I needed to do something
what
and
have
to
you
give her a
done?
break.
What have you done to offset that since 1975?
Well, it's funny. I've done a lot of reading, and it's funny because you sent me a text the other day. You said that you told your daughter Sophia, the amazing Sophia, that you were a voracious reader. And first, I'll note that she at first said, "You're right, Dad. You are a voracious eater. You need to slow down and start to exercise a little more." But she did have a comment when you said that. What did she tell you?
No, my wife was laying there in bed with me, and she started laughing. I said, "What are you laughing at?" She goes, "Voracious. What are you trying to sound like Sandy Cerami?"
Well, it's okay to sound like me. It's not okay to look like me, buddy. So let's get a little more on the voracious reading side and a little less on the voracious eating side. But
Well, that's when
you're
you
right,
said
Pete.
that's when you said hot tub. If we could go back in time in that hot tub, I said, well, right now they need to lower that water level before I enter. So
Exactly. Well, I say Scott Joseph and hot tub will never come out of the same sentence in my mouth. That's for sure.
no,
Okay, that I promise you. But going back to your point, like people were going stir crazy. People were very anxious and nervous because revenue had dried up.
yep,
There was a lot of uncertainty, and so we had the opportunity to conduct all these Zooms. Each week we had another colleague or client in the Zooms, and we started to really identify smart ways to address the challenges that we had that were imposed upon us by the scamdemic. And it's funny when we got to August and you said, who should we invite next? And we were having a conversation offline, and I said, man, people I think have an appetite to get together in person. Like I think people are starting to see through the fact that the 6 foot distancing and all that crap. They were tired of it. And I said, I think there's going to be some people that have an appetite and that will have the courage to show up. If we do something, let's do something like the Fourth Box Live.
yep.
And you immediately said, I'll host it at J&L's headquarters. And that's what we did. Literally inside of about 6 or 7 weeks, we put together the first, quote unquote, business bourbon and cigars, which was the Fourth Box Live. And we had a lot of courageous and innovative and fed up people show up. And man, it was incredible. It was so incredible that we said, we're onto something. We need to do this at scale. And that's what you and your team have been able to produce over the course of the last 4 years is we've built a community of like-minded people that want to grow personally and professionally themselves, their network, their business, their revenue, and their picture or perspective on life and business in the world in general. And it's been a really incredible ride for me. And I thank you for that.
Man, I have to thank you. I've had more fun in the last 3, 4 years
Mm,
than I probably have. I got to go back into the mid '90s, right?
right.
And when I was a lot younger,
40,
uh,
41 years old. What were you like? You were in your 40s,
I was
right?
in my 20s. The but I had to go all the way back then um, to even come close to the same amount of joy I've had in the last 4 years, and you play a big part in that. You know what I love about the end of that story there? I mean, we planned that first event in 3 weeks max, really about
Hmm.
2.5 weeks, put the whole thing
Hmm.
together. Sponsors, the participants, that means people had to book their flights
Yep.
inside of a week to come and the whole
Well, that
thing.
was easy because remember, people were afraid to fly at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah, but there wasn't as many flights either. So,
No, that's
because a
true.
lot of them,
That's true.
so, but it proves a lesson because it's turned into something extremely valuable and powerful for people.
Hmm.
And if we had waited and tried to get it perfect and sat there and planned out and planned out and planned out, there's a good chance it never would have got off the ground and started.
Nope.
And so, how many times do you hear go, right? Quit thinking about it and do, and then pay attention to what your clients or your employees are saying
Hmm.
and be willing and flexible enough to adjust quickly to make improvements. And I like to think
Yeah.
that's what happened here. And I tell you, I'm guilty. There are some projects that, there's a little bit of paralysis through analysis. And I had to remind myself, Scott, some of the best things you've ever done or been a part of, you just went in and did it.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I think this is a good
I think
example of that.
there is a lot of emphasis put on analysis, planning, polling, all that nonsense. And we live in a world that's dominated by data and technology and AI and bits, bytes, ones and zeros. And you know how I feel about that, Scott. I respect data and I respect the technology piece of it, but I'm a person that at the end of the day values the human element of it more than anything else. Your intuition, your instincts are critically important, and we have been distracted by those in the data and technology world to not pay attention to that. And I think you have to know inside in your gut when it's time to make a move and have the courage to be wrong and make mistakes along the way. We live in a world where social media dominates, and people see end result, and people see false examples of perfection. Okay, phony examples and fraudulent
Oh,
examples of
oh yeah.
perfection, as opposed to what really happens. And success is messy. Success is not perfection. And so
Yeah.
you and I have talked about that a lot over the years.
Oh, say something there. Oh, I thought I lost you there for a second.
No, I'm still here.
No, I can hear you. Okay.
But that's the point. You got to be willing to make a mess and then assess after you've made the mess. So make a mess, then assess, and then make progress. I mean, that's the whole formula to get shit done at the end of the day.
When you and I started designing this leadership retreat, this event,
Mhm.
the number one thing that we wanted was to create something that was unique, and we didn't want it just being like any other event where
Correct.
people just get up there and they listen to a bunch of people speak. 95% of everything the person says I already knew. 80% of the speakers, I have no interest in listening to what they're talking about.
Right.
Um, Not to say I don't get value out of that. I go to speakers when it's about a topic I know I don't know enough,
Mhm.
right? And I need to be exposed at an entry level, so then I know where to dive in deeper to really learn and
Mhm.
and enhance that skill set. But there's a hidden benefit, I think, that's come from this, that is Head and Shoulders become the number one most powerful thing that's come out of all this.
Mhm.
And I want to talk to building powerful connections. In your opinion, why is that essential when it comes to leadership excellence?
Well, leadership can be a lonely experience, for one, right? Because most of the attendees are at the top of a particular department or collection of departments, or they own and operate and run their own businesses. And that could be a really lonely place to be because the buck stops with you. If you have a level of accountability to yourself, you know that the big decisions, while you're taking input from people internally on your team, ultimately reside in you and your ability to make those decisions and then delegate the responsibility and accountability to carry out the vision, et cetera. What we have created here is what I would consider to be the strongest peer-to-peer community in the business world, where we've got people that have mutual levels of respect and appreciation for the diversity of experience and perspective that we have. We have multiple different types of businesses that are represented in the community, but they all have similar challenges. And so every once in a while, and you're the one who taught me this, taking a idea or a perspective from a business outside of our own can be one of the most powerful and transformative ways that we move our own businesses forward. And so that peer-to-peer networking piece and the connections, the relationships, I think is the most important, where we can pick up the phone in between BB and C events and solicit counsel, solicit feedback, sometimes just to bitch, moan, and complain, because there's nobody else to bitch, moan, and complain to, is invaluable. I don't think
Yeah.
you get it in any other event. Because I don't think there's any other event like ours.
Well, I agree. Um, Talk to me a little bit about, and listen, I know you work with a lot of different business leaders. You're a consultant. I am not a consultant, right? And
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to be labeled a consultant. I don't know. I like to call you the solutionist, but you do more than just consulting. That's the reason I
Hmm.
say that. But how has your experiences through these leadership retreats shaped your understanding of collaborative problem solving?
It's a great question. Well, first thing I can tell you is that I've achieved my goal, which is to never be the smartest guy in any room that I walk into, and that's easy for me walking into the event each and every time that we get together, because we're surrounded by people that have a wealth of experience that is different than my own, um, different levels of success. So I can look at people that are in different points of their own success journey, if you will, and I'm able to extract from them very often in a selfish way, uh, anecdotal stories, um, empirical data and feedback from them based on the experiences that they have that I can now apply and very often repackage in a relatable way to use with clients of my own and in my own business. And so selfishly, and you know this, like I want to make sure I'm clear about this. This has not been like this magnificent moneymaker for Scott and Sandy. This has really been more a labor of love than anything else. And the benefit that we get, you and I, is having the unique perspective of talking with virtually every single attendee. And
Well,
so that to me has been the biggest
100%.
benefit. Yeah.
I've gotten more friends, good friends,
Hmm.
in the last 3 years. I mean, I gotta go all the way back to some of my best friends, whether it's from high school or whatever, to
Hmm.
match what's happened in my personal. I feel like it's business, but it's in my personal life now,
Yeah.
over the last 3 or 4 years, you included in that, and so I and I touched on this a little bit, and then we got to the question I wanted to ask, but that was, I think the biggest benefit that's come out of all this has been the relationships and the networking.
Sure has. It sure
So
has. I got a text
everyone talk,
message. That's I got a text message yesterday from JT John Traver, who is in my Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, trio of people that I just admire and respect for multiple different reasons, not just from a business perspective, but just as a human being. He's just a magnificent person. And I got a text message from him out of the blue yesterday, and he said, "Hey, been thinking about you. Haven't talked to you. What's going on? Bring me up to speed. Hope all is well." And those little things are the ties that bind, quite honestly, in our community. And I get messages and I send messages like that very often across the board with everybody that's in the community. And the opportunity for us to engage, interact, and collaborate with folks like that, um, it's invaluable. That you couldn't put a price tag on it.
it's funny you say that because I think masterminds, we're getting ready to do a couple episodes on, what a real mastermind is versus,
Hmm.
I think that word gets thrown around a lot for marketing purposes because I think people confuse whether it's a panel discussion or just a couple of people up there talking as a mastermind. But
Hmm.
um, I there could be a two-person mastermind, right? I mean, it
Sure.
doesn't, it wasn't like back in the day from from the book Think and Grow Rich, John Rockefeller sat there and said, wait a minute, Mr. Morgan, I need another 6 people at a round table to call."
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
not how it worked, right? So, uh, but there was a common thread to what they did. When they were having a discussion about a topic, it was to solve a specific issue, you
Correct.
know? How do I get electricity into every home? How do I get this oil into every lamp, into every home? How do I do? Oh, I need your steel. I need your railroads. I need you. And they start coordinating and solving and coming up with breakthroughs on that and built something great.
Hmm.
But, and this goes to where you brought up John Traver. So I'm calling him yesterday. I got a 15-minute phone call. He's been sponsoring Business Bourbon and Cigars since the third one down in Bonita
Hmm.
Springs, Florida. And so I just want to go over some of the things the new things that we're going to be doing for him. And so it should be a 15-minute call. We were on there an hour.
Of course.
And by the end, the conversation starts talking about strategic alliances and possibly where that could lead down the road, right? But
Yep.
I absolutely love when you've got connections, forge real connections, build strong relationships
Hmm.
with the right people. And John is one of those people. It's just sharp. Um, Man, it's the new opportunities that expose themselves, and it moves so fast. It's just like, so when you and I started this, we knew that, all right, we're going to have sponsors,
Hmm.
we're going to have attendees. At some point, if everyone likes everybody and everybody does a good job, some of the sponsors are going to sell their product or services to some of
Right.
the attendees. That's why they're sponsoring, right? But what's come out of this isn't just that happening. It was totally unexpected and not even planned. I don't remember you and I saying, wow, if we do this, then man,
Nope.
watch all these strong relationships. We didn't plan for that at all. And now all of a sudden you've got these new business opportunities. I talk about or Petro automotive products all the time. Arnold's gotten 3 distributors out of this. He didn't go into this event thinking, wow, he's going into it thinking, I want to introduce my products to
Right.
potential clients, right? To prospects, and hopefully they become clients. Well, now he's got 3 different distributors. You're looking at over $60 million in business.
Yep.
I mean, it's been
Yeah, I think,
unbelievable. And
Scott, to that point, I think the reason why that phenomenon, if you will, has occurred is very simple. You and I went into this. What we wanted to do was create an event. Initially, was create an event that brought all of the participants of the fourth box, which is the origins of business bourbon and cigars, together to really have an opportunity to brainstorm, mastermind, and have a collective conversation. There was no transactional nature to the emanation of putting the fourth box live together. It was all about how do we get like-minded people together so that we can collectively solve problems and collaborate. And so it had nothing to do with transactions. It was like, how do we solve a problem?
yep.
And at the end of the day, the relationships that were formed had this expansive reach that continued to exponentially grow in what we call geometric progression. The people that I knew were now connected to the people that you knew, and all the attendees now connected their people to our people, et cetera. And you have this amazing network, as I said, an invaluable network of people that look to serve each other before they look to sell to each other. And I think that's why you see the level of collaboration and the business opportunities and the formalized business partnerships that have manifested and occurred as a result of business bourbon and cigars. That's undeniable. And we're only touching the tip of the iceberg. I think of Dave Boyle. I think of John Traver. I think of Arnold Casita. I think of Brady Schmidt. Like all of these, and I could go on. Like there's a whole host of folks that we could be talking about that have now partnered together, strategically and formally partnered together to solve problems and grow their businesses respectively.
I'm going to butcher this story, but Brad Carrier, Brad, if you're still watching, throw up a comment. Let us know you're here. Do something.
Yep.
But he did throw up a comment earlier. He goes, 2 of the most incredible business minds on earth right here. So appreciate that. Um,
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't, but um, at the last retreat in Scottsdale back in March,
Hmm.
I go up on one of our breaks or lunch hour or something, and Brad goes, "This has been," and just so for transparency, uh, Brad's company, he's with Gamden Financial Group, and they're a
Hmm.
sponsor, wealth
Hmm.
management, and he goes, "This has been the best event we've ever done." And I go, "What do you mean?" And so, we had the Salico Capital
Yep.
people there, and I can't remember. I'm gonna butcher this. I don't know if it was the direction I'm heading or not, but there was something to the point where I think Brad had a client who had just sold either a business or a large piece of real estate and had a considerable tax situation from a from the the capital gain on the
Right.
real estate. I think it was real estate. And so they're trying to help him push that down the road, right? They're trying to help him push that down the road so he can delay paying that tax. And obviously, they're looking for a 1031 situation. And here you are,
Sure.
Salico in the room, who is hooked up with all these huge businesses who've got this huge office uh, that literally that deal was struck in a day where this guy could buy that building, lease it back to himself. And it was beyond shielding the $9 million potential tax
Hmm.
situation. All right. Beyond doing that, because they were doing something else down the road after 2 years that would have allowed uh, some other considerable savings and benefits besides the appreciation you get on the new building
Hmm.
as well. So that all comes that has nothing to do with the normal event structure or what our initial
Nope.
intentions were, right? That all came from forging strong connections, building incredible relationships, and smart people, like-minded people getting together and talking through issues and challenges. And
Absolutely.
bam. And it's almost like the more you give, the more you get. And so I don't know if you feel this way, but I'm a big power and I'm a big believer in energy and how this universe works. And I'm gonna tell you, the more positive, the more I give, and for the right reasons. I'm not doing it to get. It just seems like stuff like this falls in your lap. And I just feel like when you get this type of people with this type of energy flow in the same room, with this
Hmm.
type of think, right? They work through these issues and solutions present themselves. And man,
I would agree 100%. I think that you have the aspirational and the inspirational influences hard at work uh, at each event and in between each event, which I think is important for people to understand. A lot of times, business conferences, et cetera, you go to, and it's an event, it begins and it ends.
yeah,
What we've been able to do here, and not we, when I say we, I don't mean you and I mean the collective. Everybody that is a member of the Me Plus Ultra or the Business Bourbon and Cigars community, uh, it doesn't stop. There's not a clock that's being watched. It's a 24/7, 365 experience, meaning those that come in, because you don't have to be this colossal business giant to be a member and benefit from this, right? And you certainly have the opportunity to take a look at folks that have achieved the level of success that you aspire to, and you can openly have conversations and learn from them. Okay.
that's right.
And on the flip side, if you're someone that has achieved that high level of success and you're looking to continue to grow and grow your business, you're going to have other like-minded people around you that you can utilize as a informal, let's say, board of directors or steering committee, if you will. But you also have the chance, as you said, to give back and to either informally or formally mentor folks that are either new to the community or have developed an appetite to grow their business, start a business, become a better leader, whatever the case may be. It's just such a healthy community and such a healthy environment to have those types of experiences that it doesn't matter where you are in your career right now. If you are growth oriented and you're willing to pay it forward, if you will, meaning you're willing to give as good as you get, if not more so, I don't care where you are in your career, you're going to benefit and you're going to help others benefit from the experience.
A big shout out to Tully Williams, who just put a comment up on the screen. Good
My
morning,
man,
superstars. I know, I love him. So, Me Plus Ultra member,
Tony Williams,
frequent attendee of Business Bourbon and Cigars leadership retreats.
and a awesome human being to boot.
Yes, spoke with him or texted with him yesterday. He should be, Tully, give us a thumbs up. You're attending in September in Louisville, correct? You
Come
know,
on, Tully. Tully knows he'll be on bus number 2, which is where all the fun happens. For those that have been to Business Bourbon and Cigars, you
he's
know
coming.
which bus to get on.
He's coming.
There you go.
All right, good. I feel bad for Tully in the sense that he's such a champion of the underdog. All right. He's such a champion of the underdog. He's been on the wrong bus every single time. All right. Every single time at every event. But he
Bus number
he never
2.
gives up. He never gives up. and I'm going to allow him
What's
to
there
come.
to give up?
Come
Listen,
I'm,
Scott, let's be honest. If we're gonna be transparent here, twice I had to walk Trish back to your bus because she left bus number one to come on to bus number two. All right.
sometimes,
I'm just
Sandy.
saying that's an
Sometimes,
indication.
Sandy, you have to walk on the other side of the fence to realize how green your grass is. All right.
Yeah, but she keeps
Sometimes.
she keeps coming back.
So not to beat the boat race. All right. I think it was all settled in Bonita Springs on the boat race.
The boat race, Scott. Here's the
When that
deal. I looked at the engines on the back of those two boats, and I know you purposely gave us the one that had 50 less horsepower. And so, when I knew the fix was in, and so we had a different measurement. The race that we wanted to win was the race to happiness, glee, and a good time. And I left you back at the starting line with your boat.
So what the hell were we talking about business wise? You got me completely. You got
We
me
were talking
completely
about the
thrown off my
fact
game.
that the community, regardless of where you are in your career or where you are in your journey business wise, that it's a healthy environment, and that you're going to get very often you're going to get more than you give. And that's not because we don't have people that aren't generous and want to give more than they get, but it's because there are so many folks out there that you're only one person giving, and you're able to receive from everybody within the community. It's such a cool experience. I think about people like April, Kaylee Filio, folks that come in, and the generosity that they bring to the table, and the perspective that they add, for me is always refreshing. It grounds me a ton, and they're people that I can't wait to see. Like, I don't know, it makes it really simple to say yes to attend or to put the time aside to get there because of people like that.
Look at Squire. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
What do you say?
I got the comment up on the screen there.
Well, you got to read it for me because I'm on the phone right now. So
Oh, the
what does
engines
it
were
say?
smaller. He goes, the engines were smaller in the other boat. Twin 150s versus twin 115s. How does he recognize? He doesn't remember that.
He certainly does. Squire knows.
So one of the things you bring up, I love that you brought up the different experience levels, because to
Mhm.
me, the diversity of the group is what makes it special.
100%.
So I've been going round and round on this. You were with us in San Antonio when we brought up the fact that we basically put it out to the members and the participants and said, listen, can we all agree that most disruption within an industry does not start or come from someone inside that industry?
Right.
Most disruption comes from an outsider saying, there's a gap in services, there's a gap in product.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could go into this industry and disrupt it, right? Or make a big impact. So we all agreed. We said, if most disruption comes from outside the industry, do we want to start inviting business leaders, business owners from other business verticals
Mm-hmm.
into our group, into our event? And it was
Mhm.
unanimous. Everybody was yes. And I think that's one of the challenges people face, and what I love about the diversity of this group. So we have different business verticals in it. You could have car dealers, general managers talking to wealth managers, talking to venture capitalists. You could be talking to AI experts,
Let me give you
podcasting
one great
experts.
example. I'm going to give you one great example of what you're talking about right now. And I always credit you with this because you always said to me that innovation happens as a result of what we learned from other industries outside of our own, right? And so we should be looking for innovative solutions outside of our own industry or vertical. And that always struck me as brilliant. Okay. And I don't often give you credit in public, but I got to tell you, you've had a tremendous impact on how I think about business. Tom Drexler, okay, the great Tom Drexler, the most unassuming business genius that I've bumped into in a long ass time. Tom Drexler has
Oh,
has absolutely influenced and impacted the businesses that are in the room at Business Bourbon and Cigars because of his approach in terms of how he managed operations and grew his business like wildfire. Okay. And it's the quiet genius, it's the ones my dad used to say all the time, still waters run deep. And Tom Drexler is a great example of that. Somebody that came from outside of automotive, a home services business. If I have the numbers correct, he grew it from like $3 million a year up to like 48 or $50 million a
So
year in revenues.
top line revenue of $4 million a year.
Yep.
And within 8 years, 56 million top line.
Unreal.
100% of it comes from residential, no big commercial projects.
Right.
100% residential.
Perfect example and I know how many people have said to me, God, man, when Tom Drexler was speaking on that panel, what he said resonated with me. And when we talked about, scaling businesses, there was nobody that had more influence on that panel than Tom Drexler did. It was awesome to see. And that's a great example of what you're talking about, where we have cross vertical influence.
And I love, is there a more humble? So Tom has sold and rolled his business up into a bigger deal, right? If people know what he sold for and what he collected out of that, all right.
Rightfully so, by the way.
That's why I love calling him a plumber. All right. I love saying we have a plumber in the audience and Tom Drexler.
He just smiles. I love because he don't say a word. He just smiles.
I'm really trying to make a point. Because let's face it, we come from auto, and in auto, we got big egos, right? I mean, there's egos in the room. Everyone drops your ego coming into the room, though. I will say that when they come into this room, it's like everyone's just there to help everybody, and it's all that gets pushed aside. But at the same time, as an industry, we tend to think of our industry as the one. This is the one, right? You can make it here. This is the hard stuff. This guy is a true businessman. Had to create his own products, had to do his own marketing, had to do his own research and development, had to create his own and get his own inventory. There was nothing. He wasn't a franchise. He wasn't,
Nope.
I'm an auto dealer. I have no problem saying, as an auto dealer, I'm nothing more than a glorified sales team. That's what I am. I'm a glorified, I'm not a true entrepreneur as an auto dealer. I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I want you to think about this. My franchise is there. They're supplying me my product. They're supplying me a lot of my marketing. They're doing all the R&D. I got to have a great sales team on the front end and on the back end. All right. And I know that it's not as simple as that.
Well, I think if you talk about it on an individual rooftop basis or, 2-3 rooftop basis, are 100% right. I think there are different types and different levels of entrepreneurship. And I think Tom is very representative of someone that knew how to start and scale a business and use vision and execution as the two chief tools that he needed in order to successfully achieve what he's achieved. Tom is not flash and dash. Tom is substance. Tom is execution. Tom is just like John Traver says all the time. He'll stay with the problem long enough to solve it. That to me embodies Tom Drexler at his heart. He's another guy that I tell you, the people that I look forward to seeing and hearing from. More importantly, hearing from.
I want to clarify something, right? Before I get all my hate mail coming to me. So, and I love that you said there are different levels and different types of entrepreneurship.
Sure.
Clearly, you get the Ed Napletons, you get the Roger Penske's of the world.
But see, I would not consider them to be. Yeah, they're not purely a quote unquote car dealer, right? There's a difference between a quote unquote just a pure car dealer of days gone by and what we're seeing evolve today in the automotive sector. Is if you're a dealer in today's business, you are forced at this point in time to look at your business much differently than you had over the last 40, 50, 60 years. The changes in terms of technology, the changes in terms of competition, level of competition, economic challenges, social and political challenges. You've really got to be able to work your business like a true businessman or businesswoman or entrepreneur versus just being the local car dealer. That is not an indictment because that's my heritage. That's my origins, from my family. And so I know you feel the same way. It's actually, for me, it's a celebration of that, not an indictment. So I get
Well,
where you're coming from
and all
100%.
this part of the conversation started from Tom, because I say plumber because
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you know how many dealerships I own? You know, either the size or how many stores you'd have to own to exit out at what he exit out at? I mean,
I'm going to use the word, two words, a lot.
it's much higher than people think. I was blown
Yeah.
away. And I got to tell you, he's not a plumber. He's an incredible businessman. And so I'll give you a real brief story on how he helped automotive. So we've got a great participant, one of our founding members, Ed Roberts, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Runs a top 10 store in the country at Beaux-Arts.
Yep.
And everyone knows him. If you know him, you know he does an incredible job, and he's pioneering the mobile service trucks.
hmm
So
Amongst plenty of other things inside of automotive that, because he's another humble participant, most people don't hear about coming out of his mouth. But I will tell you that it's not just mobile service. The way that they have built the culture at Beaux-Arts, and the way that they have a operational philosophy that is centered around people and their growth and development. That's what turned that organization into the powerhouse that it is. Great leadership with Bo and Letty, as well as Ed,
yeah.
and that's the difference.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up leadership, because I think he's a perfect example of great leadership. When you listen to him, he was in the hot seat and we were helping him through a problem or a challenge that he had, barrier, whatever you want to call it. And when he started talking about some of the advice and real world solutions that he received, which ones he was going to
hmm
integrate first and start working on, he said, well, I'm going to have, this guy start working on this, and I'm going to have this guy start. Ed's able to get to every event.
hmm
Now, I want you to think about this, because we're not the only event he attends. He attends about probably 10
Correct.
different conferences a year.
Yep.
And he'll tell you this is by far, head and shoulders, the best one he does. But he
hmm
attends 10. So how's he able to get out of the store? Because he elevates and he delegates.
hmm
All right. He elevates and delegates. He's not under the belief that it's all on him. If you listen to him, he consistently talks about his team, and he's
hmm
elevating and giving people responsibilities to manage a new project. He didn't put it on him when he came up with the solutions. How do I go from 10 trucks to 46 trucks in a 3 or 4 month period? And some of the other solutions, he didn't sit there and say, all right, well, I got to sit down and do all this, and I got to do this, and I got to do. Well, no wonder.
Right.
No, all these
Right.
people have excuses as to why they can never get out of their business. They're always working in them. He works
Well,
on it. He works on the business, not in the business. And there's a big
absolutely.
difference.
I think there's 5 ingredients that he embodies, and he lives out every single day, because I've seen it firsthand. I've visited the store. I've spent time, with him and with his people. First of all, he's got tremendous vision. Ed can see things before others can, and that is a hallmark of a great leader. He is also somebody that has a lot of courage. You've got to have courage, okay, to be a great leader. He's got trust, and it's bi-directional. Okay, he provides people with a lot of trust, and he's a very trustworthy individual. Okay, and I think that's essential as well. You talked about delegation. That's all part of the trust piece. You've got to delegate to the people that you trust, because they've got to execute at the end of the day. He also has a high level of accountability, which means that if people are tasked with the responsibility of carrying out and executing on a plan, he has 360-degree accountability, meaning he's following up and following through on making sure that people are being held accountable, because that's how he's being held accountable as well. And then, perhaps the last thing I think maybe might even in many circumstances be the most important is he's decisive. When he makes a decision, they move forward. They don't waste a whole lot of time dilly-dallying and figuring out, well, does this make sense? Is that going to? He's very decisive, and he knows how to adjust after making a decision if things don't go as according to plan. So I think that those 5 elements is something that Ed is a perfect example of, because he embodies it and lives it out every single day.
100%. And going to where I was starting all this with Tom Drexler, the plumber. So Ed's trying to do all these mobile trucks, right?
Yep.
There's not an auto dealer in the country that understands the
Correct.
logistics and knowing how to efficiently manage those routes,
Mm-hmm.
how to dispatch them properly. And so obviously the natural course in auto is, it reminds me back in the internet days, right? I got to hire an internet manager. All right, let's hire this person, that person.
Mm-hmm.
We just throw people at problems instead of fixing and root causing and coming up with better processes. And Tom goes, Ed, this is, and I love this because it's behind the scenes. And I hear about it after the fact. He goes, Ed, my entire business is set up on service trucks.
Mm-hmm.
As you expand from plumbing to HVAC to electrical, all that work is me sending out trucks to homes.
Yep.
And doing on-spot work. He goes, you don't want to hire someone in-house to manage all that. Not only are you bringing on a salary, and then you have the headache of another person to manage, but that person's not
The
going to
learning
have.
curve, the learning curve on how to execute.
Can
Absolutely.
you imagine the losses of the
Mm-hmm.
logistics and not being efficient in planning and routing? And by the way, when you're not efficient and you're not planning the proper routes, that also impacts your client experience, right? So now you got
The risk versus return is just it can be so detrimental. It can be a drag on your business, and it could actually ruin your business
So
at the end of the day.
a lot of what's great about having diversity is not just the shared insights and advice you get, like what I'm about to share, but also what I'm about to share. It's about the shared resources. Tom
Absolutely.
goes,
No question.
here's a dispatch company I use. They manage all this for me.
Right.
Headache
You're right.
gone. All right.
Well, and it is also a great example of what you talk about, going outside of your industry to innovate. And Ed Roberts has said this to me on a couple of occasions. He goes, I'm not looking for best practices within the industry. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for innovative solutions that actually take me beyond best practices, where now I supplant the current best practice holder. He says, I want to be the one that everybody looks at and says, this is the best practice. And I'm going to constantly look to one up myself in my own business by looking outside of it for these types of solutions. And that's exactly what you're talking about here.
There are ecosystems, which what I love about this group is the ecosystem is it's spider webs in a lot of different directions, right? I mean, and it's all connected.
Yep.
And then there's industry echo chambers. And when we stay,
should we name a few?
When we stay, and the only thing we do is participate in these industry-wide echo chambers. All we do is hear about the same ideas, the best practices. And listen, there is a lot of value if you're not doing best practices to understand what those are, because to me, any process you're doing, you're always looking for incremental, small improvements, continuous improvements along the way. But you never get the big breakthrough. You never get the groundbreaking change. And the problem is when everyone starts attending these echo chambers, it's industry-wide echo chambers, they all start copying each other and they start compounding the problem they already face, which is how do I differentiate myself in a very crowded marketplace? That is the problem. How do I rise above the noise? Because the industry, the marketplace wants to paint us into what I call a commodity corner. And the reason they want to paint you into a commodity corner is because commodities are cheaper. It's harder to justify the value. When you don't have a groundbreaking idea, solution, process, product, something that, wow, there's no way I would buy anywhere else but from you because of this reason alone, right? Or these 2 or 3 reasons, then you're a commodity. And when you're a commodity, you're battling the price thing. And when you're a commodity, your unique selling proposition is not unique. It starts sounding like everybody else, and you're left with the generic crap of, well, we've been in business for 30 years. We're family owned. We're the largest.
One of the big challenges, Scott, as you know, when you lead a department, a team, or a business, one of the big challenges is having the courage to defy traditional thinking. Okay, and very often what people are looking for is validation that this has worked before for somebody else. Okay, because the single biggest fear of any decision maker, whether they're buying something or making a change in their business or trying something new, is they don't want to make a bad decision or a mistake. And I go back to one of the first things we talked about today, which was success can be messy. Success can require you to make a mess and then course correct along the way. And so, decisive leaders that have the courage to look outside and not follow simple traditional thinking because it's the easiest path of least resistance and least amount of risk involved in operating their business is usually what guides the average leader in the marketplace. And the cool part about what we get to experience as part of the business bourbon and cigars and Me Plus Ultra communities is business leaders, and I don't mean just business owners. I'm talking about business leaders, regardless of where they occupy their time throughout the course of the day, whether you're a department head or a team leader or a business owner. We have a bunch of people that are not afraid to make a mistake or a bad decision along the way because they know that they're going to be able to recover and course correct and get it right at some point in time. That to me is the essence of what has been built by every member of the community, period.
Yeah. How about the fact you mentioned earlier, it's lonely at the top when you're the decision maker and you've got a lot of livelihoods relying on you. You've got to continually grow.
Well,
One of the
what's
things
your
I
favorite?
love,
What's one of your favorite song lyrics? It's lonely at the top,
that's right, Jamie
but
Johnson.
what? But what?
It's a bitch at the bottom.
You ain't kidding, brother. You ain't kidding. I'd
That's
rather
right.
be alone at the top than bitching, moaning, and complaining at the bottom.
That's
You
right.
know?
One of the things I love most about the event is when we get done with business bourbon and cigars, these leaders get together. It's not just that they get great ideas, they come up with some innovative solutions to some of their challenges, hopefully some groundbreaking stuff, some breakthroughs. It's a given they're going to get incremental improvement changes
Mhm.
and ideas.
Yep.
But
That's worst case scenario.
how about the recharge of the battery? How about going back pumped up, and because you're surrounded by people that share a mindset and ambition, so to speak, right? They really want to take things to the next level. And there's something to being around that energy, sharing that brainwave. That for
Hmm.
me, I come back pumped. It's
Absolutely.
not one of these phoniness things that, I'm coming back with actionable stuff, but I'm pumped up.
Yep. Yeah, I think that element is critical, and I think it's high value. There's Jay-Z. The other piece that I think is really important to note is that we now have, over the last 3 or 4 events, lots of spouses, partners, if you will, life partners, whatever the hell we call them these days. I mean, I don't want to get too politically correct. I'll end up vomiting here on screen. I don't want to do that. But sorry, I'm not getting political. I'm just saying. But we have spouses and we have boyfriends, girlfriends, fiancés, life partners, if you will. But those folks are there too. And I can tell you from a very personal perspective, having Mary attend the last few events has been more fun for me because I get a chance to spend time with her, outside the house. It's not necessarily a vacation, but it's an opportunity for us to enjoy time together when we have the social excursions and whatnot. But she also meets other folks.
She texted me and told me she prefers when you go alone.
Well, she's going to get her wish in September because she's booked solid with clients. That's the big challenge for her, as she does one-on-one and small group personal training and fitness and nutrition counseling. And so September, everybody's coming back. It's back to school. It's a crazy month for her. She's not going to be there in September, and I'm bummed because I much rather have her with me. And so the point I'm making is, for her, it was a chance for her to get to see other folks that have the same type of drive and the same type of goals and aspirations that I do. And I think it was a really fresh and beneficial experience for her to see that, and for her to see the kind of people that are attending the event She
Yeah.
loves the community. Like she genuinely is disappointed that she's not going to be there in September. She was trying to move stuff around in order to get there, and just is from a logistical perspective, is not going to work. But I think that benefit is for anybody that attends and brings a spouse or a partner or a fiance or boyfriend or girlfriend with them. They see the benefits.
One of the things I love, and it's become a more frequent comment later, is everyone talks about the people in the group as a whole,
Hmm.
right? Wow, what a great group. You've got a
Hmm.
really great community of people here.
Hmm.
Elon Musk said something the other day, and I think it was on X. And I think it was, and I'm going to butcher, it's not a quote, but he was basically making the point that if you want to look at someone and determine someone's character, look at the people they hang out with.
Yep.
All right. Look at the people they hang out with. And I think it's great that Mary comes to this, because hopefully she's not that she doubts your character after all these years of marriage. I would hope she understands who you are. She
25
probably
this
knows.
year, buddy. 25 years this year. Yep.
Congratulations. But when I'm looking at other people in the group, right, and I'm seeing that everyone's, to me, I think it speaks volume to the character of all the individuals in this group,
Hmm.
because that they all get along so well. They clearly belong. They and to me that says a lot. I have to say something here. My partner at J&L, Jamil Zabaneh.
I call him the
I
genius,
want
by
to
the way.
say I've filed a lawsuit against him for the AI video that he put out, for the AI video he put out the other day where he impersonated me,
Right.
claiming he was. So first off, people know I am a 20-time fantasy football champion, 13-time runner-up.
Yep.
I won last year's league. Jamil didn't make the playoffs. All right. And so it is insulting I'm not an icon. I am the GOAT. And I say this humbly, Sandy. I'm humbled.
Hmm.
I'm humbled when I say this. I am the GOAT of fantasy football. There
Hmm.
is no one better. All right. I am the guy. And Muhammad Ali says it best. It's not bragging if you back it up. And so for him to put
This is
out
true.
something that with the false, I've already filed it with the Attorney General in the state of Kentucky. I've got to look at the national. I've got to look at the AG. I got to do something nationally. This is because he put it on social media and it's spreading, and I have to. First off, now I put up a comment over here. Sandy, you see that bottle right there, that Pappy?
I do.
That's the
Yes, I do.
23.
Hmm.
Jamil gave me that from a heads up bet. All right. In fantasy football. So
Oh,
while he might win a game here and there, all right, over the course of a season, there's a reason I'm always the top point getter. There's a reason I'm always the champion. There's a reason I'm always having Pappies and Weller 12s on my shelf. And that is he's bragging. He goes, his AI video got 10,000 views. All right, so let's get back to business. All right, so Ron Marvo.
there's marvelous Ron Marvo, my right hand man.
That's right. Look outside, but also look within. He brings up Bill Schomburg, good friend of ours, mentioned to him recently. Really smart people, even when presented with great opportunities to improve, remain stuck in their biases. I
Yep.
love that.
Yeah.
At Business Bourbon and Cigars, that doesn't happen. Everyone is open and willing to look internally. And that's what we were talking about. I think they drop their egos at the door.
Yep.
I
Well, you want to talk about somebody with no
it's
ego.
an amazing event in the sense that, and
It
I know we're
is.
biased, but
Listen, we are we are biased because it's something that we have. It's in our heart at this point. All right, business, bourbon, and cigars. But you want to talk about somebody with no ego. I have to prod Ron all the time. I say, bro, when people ask you what you do and what you've done in your life, he never wants to talk about the fact that he's a Gold Gloves champion. Okay, he's a Diamond Gloves runner-up. You'd look at him and you'd say he just looks like the nicest, straightest dude on the planet. And when I mean straight, I don't mean from a preference perspective. I mean just a straight shooter and a good human. But that dude has a will to win, a discipline to prepare and do all the nitty gritty dirty work like nobody else I've ever seen. It's my super high honor and privilege that I get to partner with him on a day in and day out basis. And now his wife, Mrs. Ron Marvel, Nikki, as well. But he embodies what we're talking about here. He comes in and wants to give more than he'll get. That's his modus operandi coming in. But he leaves every single event with literally page upon page of notes. And he's just a perfect example of somebody who comes in with no ego. I'm there to learn. I'm there to offer whatever I can in terms of time, talent, and treasure. And he walks out with, literally a treasure chest full of ideas and inspiration that we put to work every single day in our own business. And so I'm appreciative to him for that. But it's a perfect example of what we're talking about.
He's always looking to improve, and he's
Yep.
always he's a student. I
But
mean,
he's willing to do the hard work, right? He's willing to do the hard work, and that's the difference. He's first time I laid eyes on that guy, I'm telling you, in a training session that we did years ago, I knew it. When you have that, and I go back to the gut instinct, that intuition, I knew looking into that crowd of folks that we were doing the training session for, there was something different about him. And man, he has never disappointed.
And we're coming back to Squire here. I love how he says, as someone famous said, which is him. these are the names of the people that you keep and remember for life.
Amen.
He could call up, and I know he's done it here recently. He's called up people and said, "Hey, I need help with this, this, and this," and they help him. Ed Roberts, I believe, is one of those people. So
yeah,
I think Squire's just a great fit in the group. And I love it because he brings a manufacturer,
real world manufacturer presence. Okay. He does not.
What's their thought process? How are they seeing issues? How are they seeing challenges? Right.
Of course. But he also knows, he knows how and when to get off the menu, as you know, which is important,
Yep.
Let's bring to a finer point, like what we've got coming up here in Louisville in September, right? Like, if somebody is on the fence as to whether or not that this makes sense for them or they should be attending, like, talk a little bit about what we've got coming up in September in Louisville.
So what we do with every event is we try to have a common theme or thread, right? And let's go back a couple events. It was all about how to prioritize key initiatives, right? Because as business leaders, as business owners, team leaders, we tend to, everything's the top priority, right? Because we want it all to get done, right?
If everything's a priority, nothing's a priority.
Correct. And so a lot of shit gets planned out, started. Jamil's probably laughing in the background because he knows I was guilty of this a lot. And then 75% of the projects never get done.
We're all guilty of it.
Then what happens is you're conditioning your employees, your teammates, to know that, oh, here comes another project down the road. And if we just wait it out, we'll be on to something new here shortly. We don't have to finish this, right? So we worked really hard on taking key issues, all right, but then through learning a process of how to prioritize and then actually plan that project out. So
don't you think Errol Dobler's SMAC process was like one of the most incredible benefits?
Yes, and it gets rated very high. So just so the people that don't know, Errol Dobler, ex-Navy SEAL, and it goes beyond that.
Ice cold leader. Follow him on Instagram, baby. Ice cold leader.
Correct, and he'll be back in September as well. In fact, I think I'm going to be seeing Errol for a charity event up in Cincinnati next weekend. So,
excellent.
Yeah. So I think he's staying at my cousin's house, Steve. So
is he really?
Yeah, I think so. They
met. Make sure Steve makes him an egg, buddy.
But think about this. That's another example of how these they didn't know each other. They met at the last event. Now they're good friends. Steve's helping him out with a charity cause, bringing him in to some big time donors up in Cincinnati. Part of another group I'm involved with, the Gathering of Gentlemen Golfers. Phenomenal group. I worked for years to get into that group.
There's no cursing, no gambling, no drinking, right?
Well, first off, you can't find these people have reached levels of success, Sandy, You couldn't find them on social media with a search
Right.
warrant.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right. And they're not looking for attention. They're
Right.
looking to get away from it. And it is, well, let's put it this way. We have an event called Business Bourbon and Cigars. In my studio, I've got bottles over here. All right.
Hmm.
So I do an occasional social drink. I had, I'm in this, there's some of these guys are billionaires and they fly us out on this G650 to Pebble Beach. I'm out there and they make us start drinking at 9 a.m. on this flight. It's a 4 hour flight. It's nonstop.
Mm.
And it's a mix. I bring in bourbon. They've got vodka. They've got wine. They make us start it with a shot of sake. Oh, it's awful. So we get there and the main guy, I'm not going to say names because they wouldn't want that. He's got his own suite. When you walk into the Pebble Beach Lodge, right there at the check-in counter, you walk up the stairs and to the right, that is his permanent suite. It's
Nice.
named after him. It overlooks the 18th green. And so he's got big terrace. So he opens that up for the
Scott,
whole
I have
week.
one quick question. Is he happy?
Oh, hell yeah. This is one of the happiest guys there is. So listen, this guy opens up the suite, almost like a hospitality suite all week for the group. It's about 75 guys that go out there, maybe 100. And so I'm sitting, my wife flew out commercial to meet me. All right. The wives come out for the first 3 days. And then when the golfing starts for the last 4, the wives go back. So Trish meets me out there. She's flying in. I've been drinking. It's about 2 because there's a time out, 3-hour difference in time. So it's only 2:00 there, which means I've been starting from 9. It's now 5:00 Eastern time. I'm sitting in his chair in his suite. And I realize, oh shit. I said, I'm about to fall asleep in this guy's chair. This guy's a billionaire. I said, I gotta get the shit out of here. I can't have my first event go down like this. So I had to go back to the room. I had to take a nap. It's a 3-hour nap. My wife came back and woke me. I'm gonna tell you, if she had not woken me, I'd have slept all the way through to the next day. But so I give that example. I'm a social. I don't drink. I'm not that guy that comes home and has to have a drink. Or I do it once or twice a week. I do it socially, but I can hold my own. And I got to tell you, it was total debauchery. I've never seen so many wealthy, fun, down-to-earth people. It is.
Hence the oxymoron, gathering of gentlemen golfers.
Yes, it's the best name.
The ultimate oxymoron. Ultimate oxymoron.
It's the best. But what were we talking about? You were talking about something very important. I want to make sure we touch on.
This is, Trish and I have talked about your lack of focus, and she's now attributed it to your age. Yeah, and I know that she's been talking about behind the scenes soft coup to take you out because she's seen that program work elsewhere in the world these days. But anyhow, talking about September, I think it's important for us to wrap talk about this. Like what are we?
So
I was saying, like what can we look forward to? Right. Let's talk about the topics. Let's talk about the excursions. And then I want to extend the invitation to folks that say, like, I don't know, is this the right group for me? Am I going to be able to keep up, or is this really not the right environment? I would say this to you: if you have aspirational goals in your career and in your life, this is a perfect community for you to immerse yourself in. If you've achieved a certain level of success and you're looking to go even further, or you feel like maybe you're in a rut, or you're looking for something that's going to kind of spark the flame again for you, this is a perfect environment to do that, because every one of us has been and done and gone through that. And if you're looking for a community where you got high achievers and you want to surround yourself with those kinds of folks, because that's what you are all about, this is the place to do it. It's unlike any other event out there.
So we were talking about prioritizing and planning. So in the next event, we went into how to build and by the way, we have mastermind sessions. When we're talking about prioritizing and planning, we have a mastermind session on how to, let's say it's on client retention, right? Or employee retention, or hiring better employees.
Could be any challenge or opportunity that's in the business world.
Correct. But we worked it through that process of
Errol's.
prioritizing and planning. So
Yep.
whatever solution we did, we also simultaneously were learning how to better prioritize
Correct.
and better plan, come up with those action plans. So then in our March event in Scottsdale, right, that whole common thread and theme was building a culture of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what the mastermind session was about, it could have been growing sales. It could have been,
Mm-hmm.
if it's increasing sales, that's still about how do we do it and make sure that we're building a culture of accountability through that, which is critical in building a good sales
Mm-hmm.
team.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is going to be all about client centricity. And so when I look at the mastermind sessions that we have in place, right? Growth through innovation,
Mm-hmm.
mastering disruption and leveraging tech. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do it? By making sure we don't lose our eye on the ball. We don't lose our focus in terms of the
Right.
reason we want to do this is all about client centricity. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we weave that into that topic and make sure that is the focus of our solutions as it relates to that, right? The next day, we've got a mastermind session, literally on client centricity and leadership, building enduring client bonds. So we've got an AI expert, Tion Hawkins, that's coming in. She's going to be speaking. You're going to love this woman.
Mm-hmm.
This is a woman that speaks and consults and builds out projects or products for Meta, X, Google as it relates to AI. She's working with
Mm-hmm.
the biggest companies in the world when it comes to AI. She'll be there. I'm not going to announce the other speaker because it's only 95% done, but it's going to happen. That'll blow everyone away. We've got a wealth manager in Claudio. He'll be speaking in terms of how business leaders and executives can better shield their money, take home
Mm-hmm.
more of their money, and different things that they can do to set up better and I guess retain a higher percentage of their wealth. We're going to have panel discussions. We'll have you're going to be running a fireside chat. I'll be running a hot seat. So we're going to be working on real issues as it relates to this. People hear the name Business Bourbon Cigars, and I think they think it's all just fun and games. We had to divide the masterminds because I don't think the people in the room are used to working that hard.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
a different type of work.
it's an intense immersion experience, and I think that adjustment that we made for this event, I think, is going to pay off big time because it allows for a higher level of focus on the two topics that we're going to cover, ultimately, and then gives folks the chance to hear from experts, that we're bringing in. I think the other piece is that the social excursions are where a lot of those extraneous business partnerships and strategic business partnerships have occurred, right? The chance where people get to roll up their sleeves and have a little bit of fun with each other and be real human beings. Because look, what human beings desperately seek in the world today are other real, authentic, genuine human beings that they can have a real conversation with and then ultimately partner with and do business with. They're not looking for, they don't want to be pitched, they don't want to be sold. We don't permit that. There's no pitching, there's no selling that goes on. This is collaboration. This is real people getting together with other real people, having what we call real, authentic, and genuine conversations. And where that leads is organic and it's natural. And in my opinion, they happen because they were meant to, not because they were forced to.
That's right.
So wrap it with the excursions. Give us the excursion details a little bit so people can get their beaks wet.
So we'll be doing a distillery tour as we always do. We'll be hitting Angel and the distillery tours. We're going this time. We're not going out. We've done Buffalo Trace so many times. We've done Hermitage Farm has been an incredible excursions that we've done.
Neither of them have ever disappointed, right? Neither.
Stitzelweller. We've done Castle and Key. We've done all those. We're doing a little bit of an urban bourbon tour where this time we'll be hitting Angel's Envy. A lot of people don't know this, but it's probably got one of the best bars in the city. They make some of the best cocktails in the city, but they don't open it because they don't want to compete with their local bars who they're trying to convince to sell their bourbon and their rye. So you can only access it if you do the tour. So we'll have a unique opportunity for all our attendees to access that. We have an incredible historic home. You've not done this one yet. So I'm actually, as soon as I get off here, I'm actually going out there to plan the day that we're going to have there and do the site visit. But it's on huge grounds. It has got an incredible speakeasy in the basement of this house where there'll
Oh,
be
that's awesome.
we'll be doing a new bourbon introduction uh, and tasting down there. My son's
I'm looking
as you
forward
know.
to that.
Let me tell you, Troy Duhan, he'll be there in September. And by the way, we'll have the Giving Hope auction in September. You
Hmm.
know, I'm flying out in August to the Philippines. At the last time we did this auction at the event, we raised enough money to build one of those orphanages or homes out in the Philippines. And Troy and I are be going out there and touring that and meeting some of those officials out there. Third week of August. I think
It's
it's like
funny,
the 20.
I spoke to Troy a couple of months back, and we were talking about you, and he says I have an easier time understanding Tagalog than I do when Scott speaks English. So it'll be an interesting flight out to the Philippines for the two of you, I'm sure.
I was not gifted. I was not gifted with the ability to articulate the thoughts that are in my head. Listen, the incredible ideas, Sandy, the business solutions, the ideas that come in here, they're so frequent, they're so powerful. I
Hmm.
can't, my mouth doesn't move fast enough to get them all out.
I
That's the
noticed
issue.
it actually impacted your hair follicles. Right in this section over here, I've noticed.
Well, this is part of the problem. They set up my studio, and I said, why in the shit do we have a camera on this side? This is my worst side. Look at this. Look at it. It goes all the way back to the middle of my head.
Yes, yes.
But so we have to mention that we're going to be doing the Giving Hope thing because
Yep.
well, I'm hoping that we can create some great video stuff out there in August when we're in the Philippines, so we can show everybody what they were able to build and what
Hmm.
they were able to support and the impact they actually had when we did that auction in San Antonio. So,
Hmm.
um, incredible job. And to me, the automotive industry and back in San Antonio, before we got more diverse in the different business verticals, I have to say this about the auto industry. It does an incredible job raising money both locally and worldwide.
Yes.
I mean, it is one of the most giving
Yep.
industries I know of. And that goes for big corporations, whether it's all the way down to the dealer level and all those employees that work at all these individual dealers. It's such a giving community. I love
Hmm.
being a part of that. But this house, we're going to have that. We're going to have this private course. Bobby Burke, our good friend Bobby Burke, will be there, and we'll have some rare bourbons that you will not be able to buy on the shelves and get an
Hmm.
opportunity to do that. We've got uh, Jason Shepard from here in local doing our cigar stuff. You'll remember him from the last
Yep.
Louisville event.
Sure.
All right. Uh, Incredible dinner and food out there. The grounds, what I like about this house is the networking that's going to happen from working all day and helping each other solve issues and problems. I don't know if we'll have a stage or a setup better than what we're going to do at this
Hmm.
house in terms of creating that type of environment. Anybody that's attended this, there is no awkwardness when it comes to
Hmm.
the networking. It's so natural and it's so organic and so easy. And I think that's one of the reasons new. I'll tell you right now, I've got the Salico people coming out. All right, Salico Capital. They'll be here again. They've exposed a lot of our members to a lot of unique opportunities.
Hmm.
I'm not going to put this out on live, but I'm working on something huge with them. And so this is going to involve a lot of our members. And I think I brought this up to you yesterday, I believe. Um,
Yep.
if I did bring this up to you, right?
Hmm.
Those conversations are going to start happening at that house. And I'm going to tell
Absolutely.
you right now, there's going to be people that are going to want to join in on this because this is going to be about as big as it gets. Um,
It's funny, Scott. Dave and Kathy Boyle were in town for 11 days in New Jersey. They visited us down in the Spring Lake area, which is like
Did they get their
It's the
tetanus shot?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Best kept secret in the world, I'm telling you. And he was talking about that as well. And go back to like the friendship that he's by the way, talk about a founding original member
Yeah.
and sponsor partner, and now
Day one.
one of my closest friends. I
Yep.
knew the minute I met that guy that I was going to be friends with him for the rest of my life. But he's excited about these opportunities. He and Kathy obviously have been exposed to the Seleco crew as everybody was at the last event. That one that we talked about yesterday, I think, is going to get everyone's attention.
Yep.
That's looking for an
Oh yeah.
opportunity, yeah, to do something really special and unique. So,
But this experience in this house is a perfect setting to
mhm.
have those type of conversations.
Yep,
Um,
the living room. It's the
these are
Jerry
going to be
Maguire
the
moment.
these are going to be the type of conversations that's going to happen there, where people are going to be bummed that we got to eventually get on that bus and go back.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. But the next day, so we do the Angels Envy. That's going to be the one excursion that we do at that house, because it's going to be
Hmm.
that special. But
Hmm.
then the next day we do the Angels Envy. Then we have another member in Me Plus Ultra. You've not met him yet, Barry Woolley. He's an interior designer. He's got his own
Hmm.
studio.
Hmm.
Um, I love, and I wanted to do something, and this is where we'll have our dinner and networking after the bourbon tour. I wanted to do this because I also thought, for one, I want to reward a member and
Hmm.
and give back to him. But at the same time, what an innovative concept. So you go into a typical interior design studio, and they've got furniture in there, and it's just a big,
Hmm.
looks like a big retail store, and that's it, right? And so then they close, and I go back to Grant Cardone, that message that interview I did with him, where he goes, "These car dealers, man, they build these millions and millions of dollars of real estate and buildings, and then they close half the day." And he goes, "I just don't get that."
Yep.
Um, so Barry, similar, when you have that type of studio, you know what he did? He created an event space and bar, and
Brilliant.
literally his studio, with all his furnitures and his designs and this and that, is the event space. So he's
Hmm.
constantly having events, and on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, just normal
Smart.
people going in and enjoying it. And the scene's always changing, because he's always getting new designs, new furniture, new pieces. So
Hmm.
he found a way to leverage his asset and make it, and get it exposed to a much broader audience.
Smart. Just smart and innovative.
Yes. So I thought, I want people to see that, because maybe it gives somebody an idea, right? It
Hmm.
rewards someone, and it's an incredible space for what we do anyway. So it's like a perfect fit.
No
So, and I
doubt.
thought it was a good story. So we're going to do that as well. Um, so we got the bourbon tours, we got the cigar rollers, we got the rare
Well,
bourbons, we've
listen, I
got,
mean, there's nothing. We've left nothing out because we've been able to, and I'd give you and Trish and Bree and the team credit, because we continue to add and augment and optimize the experience for everyone. And hopefully, people that are watching live or going to catch this on the recorded version are going to say, like, how do I get involved? So tell them, where do they go? How do they
yep.
get involved? How can they register for the event? Because there's still a couple of seats open. But I think if
The
what we have
easiest,
shared with you makes sense, get your ass to Business Bourbon and
the,
Cigars.
the easiest way to do it is to go to meplusultra.com. And from that menu, you'll see the Business Bourbon and Cigars 8, and just go there. There's also, if you need any questions asked, if on every one of those pages on the Me Plus Ultra website, you can
Hmm.
ask Scott AI. Um,
Not programmed by Jameel, obviously.
no, no, this AI is almost as smart as the original. I mean, it is really, but you can go in
Boy,
there. you
that's opinion based on opinion.
you can go in there, ask it just about anything related to the event, and it should be able to spit out the answers. Um,
Good.
but if not, you could go obviously to the Business Bourbon Cigars 8 page of that website, and all the information's there. The
Yeah.
agenda's there, the schedule's there, information on all the different excursion spots. So, highly recommend everybody does that. So, other
Amen
than
to
that,
that.
go there. But Ben, I want to thank you. The
But
unbelievable day. I
it's
mean,
mutual. It's mutual. We get to do this, as Ron and I remind ourselves all the time. Uh, all I can tell you is I'm looking forward to it, as I always do. I can't wait to see you and Trish, obviously. Dave and Kathy and everybody else.
yep,
And I think, again, I'm looking forward to see the new folks there, because one of the
yep,
experiences that I love the most is the Tuesday night cocktail reception, where the
yes,
people that have not been there before
that's
walk
right.
in and see the level of camaraderie and the level of connection
That's
that the
right.
members of the community have with each other. And it's like seeing family. It's like a family reunion twice a year, to
It
be
really
honest with you.
is. It
Yeah.
really
And
is. I
so
mean,
watching that response and that reaction to folks as they come in, because you walk into an environment like that, can be a little bit intimidating. It can be overwhelming for some folks, but when they see within the first 2 to 3 minutes that everybody has a very welcoming and engaging way of interacting with people that are new to the community and to the experience, you immediately assimilate to
yep.
the environment, to the culture of business bourbon and cigars. So
Well,
I'm looking forward to it.
I think the best way to describe this community is it's a bunch of people that really work hard, or they continue want to drive positive change, right? Um,
And positively influence others, those that are
and
around them.
drive innovation in the business world. That's
Yep.
really what it's about, right? So, all right, everybody, until next time, keep striving for greatness and unlocking your leadership potential. Sandy, thank you very much. We'll see you all tomorrow. I'm actually going to be posting. We're going to have a live show tomorrow as well. Jim Roach from War Cloud. He's going
Oh,
to be
my
joining
man.
us tomorrow.
Good.
So I'll get that post up on all the channels here later tonight, and announce that. So look forward to talking to Jim tomorrow. Make sure you tune in, Sandy, for that.
Tune in for that one, man. No doubt. Tune in for
All
that
right.
one.
All right. See you guys. Thank you all.